Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you once again from Achilles Travel Consult. So today we are going to discuss English proficiency in a whole. Now, I chose today to discuss English proficiency because a lot of people have certain ideas about the test that they feel or think that if you say English proficiency, it is only restricted to IELTS. But one most important type of test, which is the Pearson Test of English, PTE, is also another English proficiency that you can use to apply for visa, especially if you want to study abroad, if you want to apply for or to join your spouse. If you want to apply to join your spouse, that is also another English proficiency that is required. Now, most of the time, it is not only the English proficiency that can get you your visa. Sometimes there are other requirements, and then the requirement for the visa and the requirement from a school will be specifically stated. So if it is required that you take PTE, or if it is required that you take IELTS, then you can narrow down your proficiency exam to the particular test that is stated in the requirements. But if it is open that you are supposed to prove an English proficiency, then it means that you can either take PTE or you can take IELTS. Now, IELTS and PTE are not too different from each other. They are all testing the same parts or the same aspects of the language. They test your speaking, they test your listening, test your speaking and your reading, as well as your writing. So these are the four major areas: listening, speaking, reading, writing. So these four areas are being tested by these two different types of English proficiency exams. Now, sometimes the reason for your travel, or the body that you want to or place where you want to travel to, your visa requirement, and then, as I said, the requirement from the school will also state that you need IELTS or you need PTE. But I would want to state that the same purpose that you take IELTS, you can still use PTE to do the same. Now, one thing and one interesting thing about PTE is that during the test, unlike IELTS where you will have an examiner seated in front of you, where you will be asked questions and you will be answering them, PTE is kind of different, because your answers, your gestures, and your responses to questions that will be given to you or will be asked you will be measured by an artificial intelligence. So the artificial intelligence will be measuring certain responses based on maybe a database of how people react to certain questions or certain ideas, and then also how people use responses to draw out their ideas from other people. So that is how PTE works. And then there's not too difference between the PTE and the IELTS. As I said, they all test the same purpose or the same skill. So the purpose for an English proficiency exam, IELTS can cover that. The same thing, PTE can also cover that. But some people think that the moment they say they say English proficiency, then definitely we are referring to IELTS. But that is not the case. You can use IELTS for visa application. You can use PTE for visa application. You can use IELTS as a requirement to enter or to further your education in a school abroad, a college or a university. The same way you can use PTE to do the same. Now, one thing that I would talk about is the number of days that the results of these two tests are released. Now, PTE has 48 hours, IELTS takes 7 to 13 days. So you can imagine the difference. So it means that after writing PTE, you'll get your results and your results quicker as compared to IELTS. So for those of us who may be beaten by time and that they really need the proficiency test quickly, you can quickly take the PTE test, and then you'll get your results in few days, and you can use it to apply to whatever school or whatever embassy that you are applying for. Now, I would want to talk about some of the guidelines to the PTE test. Now, PTE, as I said, is accepted everywhere, the whole world, everywhere. So many countries accept this PTE test. It doesn't matter where you are going, even if you're going to Asia, if you're going to Europe, if you're going to America, still the PTE proficiency test is also accepted, just as IELTS is also accepted. Now, one thing that we will have to look at again is that nobody can conceive the idea that we don't need a coach to write the test, but everybody needs a coach, no matter the kind of person you are. And then only your fluency, as I always say, your fluency cannot only get you the pass or the band score that you require, but then the skills and the guidelines that you will get from the coaches and then the tutors will also help you to pass your proficiency test. And then normally most of us think we know English. Okay, fine, we know English. Then we also rely on the information that we get on the internet to also help us to pass the test. Sometimes it is not always helpful. There are certain things that the information you get on the net may not be as practical as having a tutor in front of you, or as having a tutor online and then interacting with you on that regard. But then if you have a tutor whom you can ask questions, whom you can provide you can ask questions, you can provide certain information to for clarification and all of that, that becomes a better one than the information that you will gather or a video that you will download somewhere and then watch. So we don't only provide assistance to registration of the test, but we also provide tutorial sections for our students and our clients. Sometimes somebody will come, and then one thing I forgot to also mention, that some people will also need express tuition or express guidance or express coaching in PTE. So we also provide that express. For instance, there are some of our students who have applied and then they need the English proficiency within 2 weeks. Now, with that regard, we can schedule our tutorial meetings in such a way that it wouldn't be like a marathon where we'll push everything on you, but gradually we'll take you through systematically for you to digest the process, for you to digest the skills, for you to digest the tips and then the guidelines that you need in order to pass your test. Sometimes it is not how long you will spend, but how much you commit it to the tutorial that makes it unique. Because how much you spend, the number of periods that you might spend about 8 to 10 weeks on English proficiency, but at the end of the day you will not be too ready to take the test, not because you are not good, but because maybe the commitment that you exhibited was not enough to prepare you for the test. So you can use 6 weeks maximum 6 weeks or less to prepare yourself for the test. Now, as I said, you can prepare yourself with a guide, or you can prepare yourself with a coach, because sometimes you will need a bigger hand to direct you as to what to do and how to do it. As I said, it's also very important that you get someone you can ask questions, and then someone who can assist you in any information regarding the test as far as the other aspects are concerned. So let us not only concentrate on how much we know English, but let us also concentrate on how much we need the skill to write the proficiency test. So PTE is exactly as an English proficiency as IELTS. So PTE can take you to Europe to learn, to work and all of that, as well as IELTS can also do same. So we don't only have to limit ourselves, but you have to look at the bigger picture. Today we are not going to discuss much. So this is the few information that I would want to share with you, and I will leave you with this because a lot of people have the mindset that PTE is not an English proficiency, but it is all over the world, everywhere. No matter where you want to travel to, you need this test as a requirement to travel to the place, just as IELTS is. The same thing applies to PTE. So as I said, PTE is also a testing system, which is a Pearson testing of English, and then it is just as any other English proficiency is. Now, let me also remind you once again that the PTE really tests your gestures, your reaction to questions, and then your answers that you provide based on an artificial intelligence that measures all that. And then IELTS has an examiner where you speak or you have a certain conversation with the person, and then they will base on certain things, certain ideas that you share, your posture, how you answer the questions, your fluency, your grammar, and then your vocabulary to also score you. So these two tests are very important, although one of them, when you take that test, you get your results as early as possible, and then one also takes a bit of time. So PTE takes 48 hours, and then IELTS takes 7 to 13 days. Now the good thing is that in each of these two tests, no matter how long you sit, or no matter how you commit to it, the moment your coach provide you with the necessary guidance and then the necessary assistance, you'll be able to sail through. And then it doesn't also matter how long you spend in learning it. The most important thing is you take your time to commit to studying and identifying these tips that are necessary to get you past. Now I would want to end here, but if you have any questions, you can put it in the comment section, and then we will gladly answer you. Now don't worry about any form of English proficiency that you or don't be too confused on the type of English proficiency that you have to take. You can either think of IELTS or PTE, but note that if it is required by the body to which you are applying to, or if it's required by the embassy, then you have to limit your proficiency to the specified proficiency test. So I would like to thank you for your time, and then you can find us on Facebook, you can find us on our website www.achillings.com. So we are on all those platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and then Twitter as well. So any time you have a question, any time you have some level of confusion on the kind of test to take, just give us a call or can send us a message. We will duly respond to you. Thank you very much for your time, and then see you next 2 weeks on Tuesday, where I come back to have a further discussion, provide a further information on these tests for you. Thank you for your time. Have a lovely day.